The galaxy had learned one simple rule over thousands of years. If space was silent, it was empty. Countless machines, probes, and scanners followed that rule. When they found nothing, they moved on. Entire star maps were filled with ignored regions marked by the same word, nothing. One such region existed far from trade routes and empires. It was known only as a dead zone. No stars worth naming. No planets worth claiming. Just silence. Humans were not supposed to be there. A small human survey fleet entered the region by accident while testing long-range navigation. Their mission was routine. Scan. Record. Leave. At first, their instruments showed the same results everyone else had seen for ages. Empty space. Clean readings. No noise. No movement. The computers marked the sector as safe and useless. But something felt wrong. The human crews did not feel fear. They felt discomfort. Space was never perfect. Even the emptiest regions had dust, radiation, weak gravity shifts, or random signals. This place had none of that. The silence was too smooth, too controlled. One navigator described it in a way that made everyone pause. It feels like something is missing on purpose. The fleet slowed down. Human command protocols allowed curiosity. The captain ordered a deeper scan. The machines returned the same answer. Nothing. The computers suggested moving on. The crew did not. A human engineer adjusted the filters, removing safety limits that ignored impossible data. The screen flickered. A shadow appeared. It vanished a second later. No alarm sounded. No warning lights flashed. Just a shadow where space should be empty. The engineer checked the data again. The mass reading made no sense. It was too large to exist. The computer labeled it an error and erased it automatically. The engineer restored it manually. The shadow returned. This time, everyone saw it. The fleet went silent. The shadow was not moving. It was not alive. It did not behave like a planet or a star. It blocked light, not fully, but enough to bend it. The closer the fleet moved, the larger it became. Slowly, details formed. Straight lines, sharp edges, patterns that nature never created. The truth hit them quietly. This was not space. This was something built. The fleet stopped completely. No one spoke. Fear did not rush in. Awe did. The object was massive beyond reason, bigger than moons, bigger than worlds. And it was only one. As scans expanded, more shadows appeared. Then more. Dozens. Hundreds. An entire graveyard of giants. Humanity had not found empty space. They had found something hidden. The fleet sent a discovery signal to human command. The message was simple and careful. Unknown massive structures detected. Possible artificial origin. Scale unknown. Further investigation required. No panic words. No dramatic claims. The galaxy responded with silence. Human command acknowledged the message and ordered caution. No one outside humanity noticed. To the rest of the galaxy, it was just another quiet sector. Another empty page on a star map. Humans stayed. They approached slowly, like explorers stepping into ancient ruins. The nearest structure filled their view. Its surface was dark metal layered with scars older than time. No windows, no lights, no movement, yet it felt present. Watching, somehow, the crew felt small, not threatened, just small. A probe was sent. The moment it crossed an invisible boundary, it shut down. No explosion, no damage. It simply stopped existing on every channel. The crew waited for a response. Nothing came. No reaction from the structure. No warning. Just silence again. The silence felt heavier now. Another probe was sent, slower this time. It shut down at the same point. Humans recorded everything. Distance, time, energy levels. No conclusions were made. Only questions. Hours passed. Then days. As the fleet mapped the region, patterns emerged. The structures were placed deliberately, not randomly. Their positions formed a formation, not a cluster. This was not debris. This was a fleet. A fleet that could swallow entire civilizations. Human scientists argued quietly. Engineers debated possibilities. No one suggested waking the structures. No one suggested claiming them. The idea felt wrong, like shouting inside a sleeping mind. One human scientist noticed something else. The structures were not just silent. They were hiding, not from sight, but from expectation. Their technology bent scans, not by blocking them, but by convincing machines there was nothing worth seeing. The galaxy had ignored this place because it trusted its machines. Humans did not. They trusted their doubt. As the fleet continued its work, a faint change occurred. Power readings shifted slightly near one structure. Not enough to alarm, just enough to notice. It happened when human ships approached calmly, when engines ran low, when signals were quiet. The structure reacted, not to commands, not to scans, to presence. The fleet pulled back. The readings returned to normal. The silence settled again. Human command ordered the discovery classified until more was understood, not out of fear, but responsibility. Some things should not be shouted into the universe. Days later, alien explorers entered the region. They followed standard protocols. Their machines scanned. Their computers found nothing. They moved on. Human ships remained hidden in plain sight, floating near shadows no one else could see. The galaxy continued its business. Wars, trade, politics, power struggles. No one noticed a line that had been crossed. No alarms were triggered. No prophecy was spoken. But something ancient had been found, and it had noticed who found it. The silence did not break. It waited. The first reaction from the galaxy was laughter. Not loud laughter. Not open mockery. It was a quiet kind, the kind shared in closed council rooms and private channels. The kind that said, humans again. The discovery report moved across galactic networks, flagged as low priority. Planet-sized structures, hidden fleet, ancient technology. The words were dramatic, but the source was human. Humans were new. That fact mattered more than any data. Humanity had entered interstellar space late. Their ships were smaller than those of ancient empires. Their technology was clever, but not dominant. Their political reach was limited. In the eyes of the galaxy, humans were observers, not discoverers of the impossible. So the report was labeled unlikely and pushed aside. The galaxy had scanned that region before. Many times. Every empire trusted its machines. Every machine had said the same thing. Empty space. Silence. Nothing worth attention. To accept the human report would mean admitting something worse. That everyone else had missed it. The galaxy chose denial. The Galactic Council debated briefly. A few members suggested verification. Most dismissed it. Resources were valuable. Fleets were busy. There were wars to manage and borders to protect. Sending ships to confirm a human curiosity felt like a waste. But the reports did not stop. Human fleets remained in the region longer than expected. Their messages became more careful, not louder. They did not claim ownership. They did not announce power. They asked questions. They requested observation teams. They suggested shared study. That worried some council members. Humans were not acting excited. They were acting cautious. Finally, a decision was made, not because of belief, but because of irritation. A small council verification fleet would be sent, enough to silence the humans, enough to confirm nothing was there. The fleet arrived and went quiet, not destroyed, not attacked, just quiet. Long-range sensors still showed movement. The ships were intact, but their commanders did not speak. Their reports stopped mid-sentence. Their data streams froze. Panic crept into the council chambers. A second fleet was sent. This one returned. What it reported changed everything. The region was not empty. The region was full. So full that space itself felt crowded. The structures were real, massive beyond imagination. Dark metal worlds floating without stars. Ships the size of planets, arranged in deliberate formations. Ancient scars across their surfaces told stories older than recorded history. The verification fleet struggled to find words. Language failed. Data barely helped. The galaxy fell silent. Then came the most unbelievable detail. Humans were already there, not hiding, not running, not defending, studying. Human ships floated calmly near the giants. Small, fragile shapes beside impossible shadows. They behaved like archaeologists, not conquerors. Their engines stayed low. Their signals were soft. They treated the structures like sleeping beings, not dead machines. The council demanded answers. Humans responded slowly. They explained how they found the region, how the silence felt wrong, how their machines filtered out impossible data, and how they chose to look anyway. They explained that the structures were not reacting to force, that probes were lost, that aggression caused shutdowns. The council accused them of hiding something. Humans shared everything: logs, raw scans, failed attempts, lost probes, every mistake. Nothing was edited. Nothing was removed. It was all there. The truth was uncomfortable. The galaxy had ignored the impossible because it trusted perfection. Humans had noticed it because they expected error. Many council members refused to accept this. If these ships existed, then older civilizations should have found them first. Their technology was superior. Their history was longer. Their exploration records were vast. The idea that humans simply noticed what others missed felt insulting. So some chose another explanation. Humans were lying. They accused humanity of planting structures, of exaggerating scale, of manipulating scans, of waking something dangerous on purpose. Some even suggested humans had inherited the ships from a forgotten alliance. The tension rose quickly. Council fleets began to gather, not to attack, but to observe, to intimidate, to remind humans of their place. The region filled with watchers. Weapons powered up. Scanners ran at full strength. The ships responded, not violently. The moment aggressive scans activated, systems failed. One by one, weapons shut down. Shields dropped. Engines lost power. No explosions. No damage. Just silence. The message was impossible to ignore. The ships were aware. Fear replaced denial. The galaxy now faced a worse truth. These structures were not just ancient. They were active, and humans were the only ones who could approach them without triggering defensive reactions. That fact broke old assumptions. Power was no longer about fleet size. It was about compatibility, about behavior, about intent. Humans had not claimed control. They had been allowed proximity. That terrified the galaxy. If humans were compatible, what did that say about everyone else? Had the ships judged them and found them lacking? Had thousands of years of conquest, pride, and dominance disqualified entire civilizations? The council demanded humans step away. Humans refused, not angrily, not defiantly. They explained that sudden absence caused instability, that the ships reacted best to calm presence, that removing humans might trigger automated defense states no one understood. The galaxy heard only one thing. Humans were standing between them and something ancient. Trust collapsed. Some empires prepared attacks. Others prepared retreats. Rumors spread that the ships were weapons waiting to be activated, that humans were delaying on purpose. That silence was a trap. None of it was true. Humans were as uncertain as everyone else. They did not understand the ships fully. They did not know why they were allowed near them. They only knew one thing. The ships reacted to fear, and the galaxy was drowning in it. As fleets crowded the region, tension thickened. One mistake, one shot, one aggressive move could wake something no one was ready for. The galaxy had refused to believe the discovery. Now it could not escape it. The silence that was once ignored had become the loudest warning in history, and humanity stood at its center, trying to keep the universe from tearing itself apart over something it still barely understood. The galaxy could not accept what it was seeing. The planet-sized ships reacted calmly to humans and rejected everyone else. That single fact broke thousands of years of belief. Power had always answered to power. Technology had always obeyed those who were strongest. But these ships did not care about strength. They cared about something else. Humans did not understand this at first. They were confused like everyone else. Their ships were smaller. Their weapons were weaker. Their science was younger. There was no logical reason the ancient machines should respond to them. Human scientists argued day and night, searching for hidden signals, genetic keys, or forgotten codes. They found nothing. The answer was not in the machines. It was in the humans. Humanity had grown on a dangerous world. Storms, earthquakes, fires, diseases, and extinction events shaped their history. Survival was never easy. Humans learned early that control was an illusion. Nature did not obey. Machines failed. Plans broke. So humans adapted. They questioned everything, even their own tools. When human scanners showed silence, they did not trust it. They assumed something was wrong. When machines erased impossible data, humans restored it. When probes failed, humans did not force the problem. They slowed down and studied why. Other species did the opposite. The galaxy was built on confidence. Ancient civilizations trusted their systems completely. Their machines were designed to remove errors, filter noise, and deliver clean results. Anything that did not fit expectations was deleted. The planet-sized ships hid inside that blind spot, not invisible, just ignored. Humans noticed because they expected mistakes. The first human attempt to interact with the ships failed. A probe shut down instantly. No explosion. No warning. Humans did not respond with stronger signals. They responded with weaker ones. Lower power, slower movement, quiet presence. They treated the ships like something alive, not broken. That decision changed everything. Energy patterns near the ships shifted slightly. When humans approached calmly, gravity stabilized. Internal systems warmed slowly. Nothing dramatic happened, but something important did. The ships did not push humans away. They observed them. Humans noticed this too. They reduced engine noise. Limited communication bursts. They stayed still for long periods. Hours passed. Then days. The ships did not attack. They did not shut systems down. They waited. Patience was something humans knew well. They had crossed oceans without maps. They had studied stars for centuries before reaching them. They had sent probes that took decades to return signals. Waiting was not weakness to humans. It was part of progress. The ships responded to that patience. Small internal movements began, not activation. Adjustment. Pathways opened. Fields softened. It was like approaching a wild animal, without sudden moves. The ships were not machines waiting for orders. They were guardians waiting for understanding. The galaxy misunderstood this completely. Other species tried to copy human success without copying human behavior. They sent stronger scans, more advanced signals, higher authority codes. The ships responded by shutting them down instantly, not as punishment, as protection. The pattern became clear. Force failed. Control failed. Expectation failed. Humans succeeded because they expected nothing. Another difference was fear. Humans felt fear deeply, but they did not hide from it. Their history was filled with fear. Nuclear war, climate collapse, global disasters. Each time, fear forced debate, laws, limits. Humans learned to fear their own power as much as outside threats. When humans stood near the planet-sized ships, they were afraid. But that fear made them careful, not aggressive. Other species feared losing control. Humans feared causing harm. The ships noticed. Human engineers placed limits on themselves. They refused to activate unknown systems. They blocked their own access to deeper controls. They argued against using the ships for defense. They recorded every mistake and shared it openly with the galaxy. That restraint mattered. The ships began responding more clearly. Internal spaces adjusted to human survival ranges. Pathways opened when humans approached calmly. The ships were adapting, not obeying. They were choosing compatibility. The galaxy finally realized something terrifying. The ships were testing everyone, not intelligence, not strength, intent. They were built to protect life, not serve empires. Any species that reached for power first failed instantly. Any species that slowed down and tried to understand past the first step. Humans passed without knowing a test existed. That realization hit the council like a shockwave. Humanity had not unlocked the ships through skill or luck. They had unlocked them through mindset. A mindset shaped by mistakes, limits, and constant self-doubt. The galaxy saw its reflection in that truth and did not like it. Ancient empires had grown confident. They believed the universe should obey them. Humans never believed that. They believed the universe had to be understood carefully or it would destroy them. That belief saved everyone. As weeks passed, humans learned to guide small ship movements. Nothing dramatic, just enough to prove connection. The ships never allowed weapons access, never allowed domination. Only stability and defense systems responded. The message was clear. These ships were not meant to rule the galaxy. They were meant to guard it. Humans were not chosen because they were special. They were chosen because they were cautious, because they argued with themselves, because they feared being wrong more than being weak. The galaxy finally understood why the ships listened to humans. Humanity did not come seeking power. They came seeking answers. And the ships had been waiting for someone willing to ask the right questions, instead of demanding the right to rule. The silence around the planet-sized ships was no longer empty. It was attentive, and it was listening through humanity. The panic did not begin with shouting or alarms. It began with silence. Across the galaxy, leaders stared at reports they did not want to accept. Humans were standing near planet-sized ships that ignored everyone else. The ships responded to calm and restraint, not power. That single fact shook the foundations of every empire. Fear followed quickly. Ancient civilizations had built their strength on control. Fleets, weapons, borders, and dominance defined survival. Now, something existed that could turn all of that off with no effort. And worse, humans were the only ones who could approach it safely. Emergency councils formed everywhere. Old enemies sat in the same rooms. Accusations flew. Some blamed humanity. Others blamed the council. Many blamed history itself. If humans controlled the ships, then the galaxy was already lost. If humans did not, then the ships were judging everyone. Both ideas were terrifying. Fleets began to move, not together, not in unity. Each empire acted alone, afraid that others would strike first. Warships gathered near the silent sector in growing numbers. Space filled with energy signatures, weapon charges, and defensive formations. Every commander told themselves they were only observing. No one believed that lie. Humans watched the buildup with concern. They sent comm messages. They shared data again. They warned that fear caused reactions, that aggressive scans triggered defenses, that the ships were not weapons to be claimed. Many listened. Many did not. Panic had already decided. The first attack was not meant to be an attack. A powerful empire sent a single fleet closer than allowed, activating high-energy scans. They claimed it was research. The ships responded instantly. Space around the nearest Guardian twisted. Weapons shut down. Engines failed. The fleet froze in place, alive but helpless. No damage. No destruction. Just control removed. The galaxy saw it happen in real time. Fear exploded. What had once been theory became proof. The ships were active, aware, capable, and they did not need humans to act. Humans were not controlling them. Humans were limiting them. That realization made everything worse. More fleets arrived, believing numbers would protect them. Others powered weapons higher, thinking strength would scare the ships. It did not. Each aggressive move triggered the same response. Systems shut down. Fleets frozen. Panic spread faster than light. The silent sector became crowded with helpless warships drifting in space, unable to move or fight. Humans moved their ships forward. Small, fragile human vessels positioned themselves between the frozen armadas and the planet-sized guardians. They did not threaten. They did not block. They simply stayed present. Their presence caused the ships to stabilize. Energy levels dropped slightly. Space stopped bending. The galaxy noticed. Humans were not shields. They were anchors. That truth broke many leaders. If humans ever left, the ships might respond freely. Full activation could lock down entire regions of space. Trade, travel, and war could all end instantly. Freedom itself depended on human restraint. Fear turned into desperation. Some empires demanded humans step away. Others demanded humans take control fully and protect them. Both demands were rejected. Humans refused to command what they did not fully understand. They refused to abandon what they were keeping stable. Inside humanity, debates raged. Some believed humanity was risking extinction by staying. Others believed leaving would doom the galaxy. Scientists warned that sudden absence could trigger automatic defense states. No one knew the full consequences. Outside humanity, panic reached its peak. One coalition attempted a coordinated strike. They believed simultaneous action would overwhelm the ships. The result was immediate and devastating. Space itself hardened around the Guardians. No ship could approach. No signal could pass. Entire fleets were trapped in a silent field, frozen but alive. The galaxy understood then. This was not a war. It was a correction. The ships were preventing chaos. Humans realized the truth at the same time. The Guardians were responding not to species, but to emotional states. Fear caused restriction. Calm allowed movement. Aggression triggered lockdown. Cooperation reduced response. The galaxy was failing the test. Humans made a desperate choice. They broadcast a message across every known channel. Not a threat, not a command, a plea. They explained everything they knew. The Guardians were not enemies. They were protectors. Panic was feeding the worst outcomes. Calm was the only way forward. The message forced the galaxy to pause. Some fleets powered down weapons. Others followed slowly. The frozen armadas remained trapped, but new aggression stopped. Energy levels around the Guardians dropped. Space softened. The ships responded. Human presence stabilized the system again. The panic did not vanish, but it slowed. Leaders began to understand the cost of fear. Every aggressive move made things worse. Every calm decision helped. Humanity was not gaining power. Humanity was absorbing responsibility. That scared the galaxy more than any weapon. By the time the last fleet powered down its weapons, the silent sector looked like a graveyard of frozen ambition. Ships drifted helplessly, reminders of what fear had almost caused. Humans remained at the center, exhausted, uncelebrated, holding a balance no one had asked them to hold. The galaxy had panicked because it feared losing control. Humanity had survived because it never believed control was guaranteed. And now, every civilization understood the same terrible truth. If humanity ever broke, the galaxy would face the Guardians alone. And that thought ended the panic faster than any command ever could. The galaxy demanded answers, but not with anger anymore. Panic had burned itself out. What remained was fear mixed with shame. Entire fleets were frozen in space. Ancient empires had been humbled without a single shot fired. Everyone now understood that guessing was no longer enough. They needed the truth. Humans stepped forward, not as rulers, not as victors, as witnesses. Human leaders opened their records to the Galactic Council. Every scan, every failure, every moment of doubt. Nothing was hidden. What they revealed was not power. It was history, a history written long before any current civilization existed. The planet-sized ships were not built for war. They were built because war had failed. Long ago, before the oldest empires rose, the galaxy faced something that could not be negotiated with. Not a species, not a fleet, not an empire. It was a force that erased systems completely. Stars went dark. Entire regions vanished without debris or warning. Civilizations disappeared so fully that even memory faded. The creators of the ships had tried everything. Weapons, alliances, speed, strength. None of it worked. So they changed their thinking. They stopped trying to win. They tried to survive. They built the Guardians. Each ship was designed to stabilize space, not destroy it. To stop threats by locking regions down, not by burning them. The ships could disable fleets, freeze movement, and bend space itself. Violence was not their goal. Prevention was. But there was a problem. No power like this could be trusted to any single species. So the creators built a test. The ships would sleep. They would hide themselves from aggressive minds. They would wait for a species that did not rush to control, dominate, or command. A species that approached with doubt instead of pride, with restraint instead of hunger. The creators never returned. They vanished, leaving the test behind. The council chamber was silent. The truth explained everything. Why scans failed. Why aggression triggered shutdowns. Why humans could approach while others could not. The ships were not broken. They were filtering. They were watching. One council member asked a question everyone feared. Was the ancient threat returning? Human scientists answered carefully. They did not know, but signs were appearing. Strange distortions. Silent dead zones. Energy echoes from beyond mapped space. The Guardians were not waking because humans arrived. They were waking because the galaxy was becoming dangerous again. Fear rippled through the chamber. If the threat returned fully, the Guardians would act, and their action would not be gentle. Entire regions could be locked down. Freedom of movement could end. The galaxy might survive, but it would be caged. Humans shared the hardest truth last. The Guardians were already choosing, not to attack, not to control, to trust. They were responding to humanity not because humans were strong, but because humans argued with themselves. Humans feared their own power. Humans built rules to stop themselves from going too far. Their history was full of failure, regret, and lessons learned the hard way. That mindset mattered. The Guardians did not want heroes. They wanted caretakers. The Council finally understood. Humanity was not standing in front of the ships by accident. They were standing there because the ships believed they would hesitate when hesitation mattered most. That realization changed how the galaxy saw humans forever. Some felt relief. Others felt resentment. Many felt fear. Trusting a young species with such responsibility felt dangerous. But the alternative was worse. Without humanity, the Guardians might see the galaxy as unready and act on their own. Humans made their choice publicly. They refused ownership. They refused command authority. They accepted responsibility. Humanity would act as mediators, interpreters, slowers. They would continue learning. They would share everything. And when the Guardians finally woke fully, humanity would stand at the galaxy, not above it. That choice calmed the ships. Energy levels stabilized. Frozen fleets were released slowly, one by one. Systems powered back on. No damage, no punishment, just correction completed. The Guardians were listening. The galaxy felt the shift immediately. This was not the rise of a new empire. This was the rise of restraint. Civilizations that once mocked humanity now depended on their judgment, not because humans demanded respect, but because they had earned trust from something ancient and powerful. The truth settled heavily across the stars. Humanity had discovered the greatest force in galactic history and chosen not to use it. That choice echoed louder than any weapon ever could. The Guardians remained silent again, but the silence was different now. It was not empty. It was calm, waiting, observing a galaxy that had nearly destroyed itself and barely learned in time. Humans stood quietly at the center of it all, not celebrating, not proud, just aware that the future no longer depended on strength alone. It depended on whether the galaxy could learn the same lesson humanity had learned long ago. Power without restraint ends everything. And the Guardians would not forgive that mistake twice. The galaxy did not celebrate after the truth was revealed. There were no victory signals, no parades, no speeches filled with pride. Instead, there was quiet, a deep, thoughtful quiet that spread slowly across star systems. Empires that once rushed to expand now paused. Fleets that once moved without question now waited for orders that did not come. The galaxy was learning something new. It was learning restraint. The Galactic Council changed in ways no one expected. Power was no longer measured only by fleet size or territory. Decisions slowed. Arguments softened. Humanity was given a permanent voice. Not because they demanded it, but because no one could move forward without them. Humans were not named rulers. They were named mediators. Humanity accepted carefully. They did not claim authority over the Guardians. They did not build monuments near the silent sector. They continued their work the same way they always had. Slow scans, careful observation, long debates. Doubt was not removed from their process. It became its strength. The planet-sized Guardians remained where they were. They did not move into formation. They did not follow humans. They stayed silent, watching. Their presence alone reshaped the galaxy. Borders became less important. Wars became harder to justify. Aggression felt dangerous, not because of punishment, but because of consequence. Other species began to change. Young civilizations studied human methods instead of human technology. They learned to question their machines, to look at errors instead of erasing them. Older empires struggle more. Pride does not fade easily. But even they adjusted. The Guardians did not respond to pride. They responded to patience. Trade slowly returned. Frozen fleets were repaired. Lost trust was rebuilt one decision at a time. Humanity shared everything they learned. No secrets, no hidden systems. Transparency became the new shield. The ancient threat remained uncertain. Strange readings still appear at the edges of map space. Distortions came and went. No one knew when the Guardians would need to act. But the galaxy was no longer waiting blindly. Preparation replaced panic. Humans felt the weight of their role more than anyone else. They argued often. Some feared humanity had taken on too much. Others feared they had not taken enough. Scientists warned of unknown risks. Leaders worried about human mistakes affecting the entire galaxy. But humanity kept moving forward, not because they were confident, but because stopping would be worse. The Guardians noticed. Their systems remained calm. Energy flows stayed low. No new lockdowns occurred. The silent giants seemed content to wait, as if observing a lesson being learned slowly, imperfectly, but honestly. Years passed. The galaxy did not return to what it was. It became something quieter, slower, more careful. Humanity found its place among the stars, not at the top, but at the center. When conflicts rose, humans were asked to speak first. When fear spread, humans were asked to explain, not because they were superior, but because they had proven something rare. They could hold power without reaching for it. The galaxy began to watch humanity differently, not with suspicion, not with fear, with expectation. When the Guardians finally acted, the galaxy wanted humans to be there, not to command, but to remind everyone why restraint mattered. Humanity never forgot how close everything came to ending. They remembered the frozen fleets drifting helplessly in space. They remembered how fear almost woke the Guardians fully. They remembered that one wrong move could have locked the galaxy into survival mode forever. The planet-sized Guardians remained silent, but their silence was no longer ignored. It was respected. Children on distant worlds grew up learning about the silent sector, not as a place of fear, but as a reminder. Teachers spoke of the day the galaxy learned that strength alone was not enough, that intelligence without restraint led to extinction. Humanity became part of those lessons, not as heroes, as proof that a flawed species could choose caution over pride, proof that survival did not belong to the strongest, but to the most careful. One day, far in the future, the Guardians would wake fully. Everyone knew that. The ancient threat would return, or something new would rise. When that day came, the galaxy would face it together, guided by lessons learned too late, but not too late to matter. Humanity would stand there, not above anyone, not behind anyone. Beside them, the stars continued to burn. Civilizations continued to grow and fade. But one truth remained steady across the galaxy. The universe did not choose humanity because they were perfect. It chose them because they were willing to stop, think, and protect life beyond themselves. The galaxy no longer ignored silence, because silence had taught it how close everything was to ending, and how close it still might be. Somewhere in the endless dark, the Guardians watched, not as weapons, not as rulers, but as witnesses. And for the first time in galactic history, they trusted what they saw.